Boom! Welcome into Sports Bet. Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy. Tuesday, October 17th. Big game breakdown, 2 playoff games to get to, and the association is here. What a doubleheader on TNT. Cavs and the Celtics and the champs get their rings at home against the Rockets. We'll run through a couple win totals as well. Dave Mason, BetOnline, to recap how the books did, which is a monster weekend for the books. All the upsets and play of the day. Last night, Yankees win. The favorites now 20-4 in the baseball playoffs. Frazier just serves it out to right field with the 3-run shot. They take out Morton. Harris blows up. Why would you ever throw Aaron Judge a fastball? He actually made contact. Yankees win 8-1. CC was terrific.
Yeah. And I mean, Yankee Stadium played a big part in that ball game. That Frazier home run, an awkward swing. He sliced the ball to right, and lo and behold, it became a 3-run home run. That ball doesn't go out at a lot of ballparks in MLB. It did at Yankee Stadium. And obviously, with that early momentum, the Yankees able to roll. Easy win, easy cover, I guess, even though in MLB, we don't talk about teams covering. But the Yankees got the money. And as you mentioned, the success of the favorites continues to be the story of the MLB postseason, although I'm not convinced that's going to continue into Tuesday.
The ace of Spader on Twitter. Judge has 20 strikeouts in the postseason. Tony Gwynn had 19 or fewer in 10 of his final 11 seasons. Oh, my God. Oh, it's incredible. Monday Night Football, a moose. If you took +8 with the Colts, game was tied late. Tennessee with the ball, a minute left, up 7, 3rd down. Henry breaks it. And not only does he break it for 72 yards to win by 14, he stepped out of bounds, and nobody saw it.
I was stunned that play wasn't overturned on replay review. But the bottom line is, yeah, moose, bad beat, however you want to call it. That was tough. Real tough if you had the Indianapolis Colts last night. They had the lead in the 4th quarter of that ball game, catching a touchdown. Of course, had it landed 7, wouldn't have been a good result for the house at all. That line bounced 7.5. There were 8s out there. There were 6.5s out there at kickoff. Multiple shops down to 6.5. So had it landed 7, everyone would have won or pushed. It would not have been a good result for the house. The fact that late Derrick Henry TD on a play where all he's got to do is get the first down and they're going to take a knee. How many times have we seen that, Pauly? It happens. When it happens to you, it's like a gut punch. No fun whatsoever. My condolences to those who had Indianapolis last night, whether they had a good line or a bad line. You didn't deserve to lose the way that you did. Tough beat for Colts backers.
All right, the association is here. Great doubleheader to start tonight. And you got the 2 top teams in the East going at it. I actually like the Celtics over. They took a lot of under money, 56 down to 53. If there's one guy who can make all this work with all these new players, it's Brad Stevens. They won a lot of games last year and were the 1 seed, and they're better on paper this year. The Cavs are starting Love at center. They're going to be horrible defensively. They won't have Isaiah for a couple months as well. As it's a pretty good team they have on paper 5 years ago with Rose and Dwayne Wade. Other win totals, I think Atlanta's going to be god-awful. The Pacers are going to stink. The Bulls might be the worst team in the league. The Knicks are terrible. Nothing but under money on the Knicks. Not buying the hype with the Sixers. I hope they make the playoffs, but can everybody stay healthy? They're at 40.5 and taking under money. And we'll get to this in a second, too. The Rockets. Well, D'Antoni, how will CP3 and Harden work together? 55.5. Some people have Houston the second best team in the West.
Yeah, some people have Houston the second best team in the NBA coming into the season with their power ratings. But when I made my initial NBA preseason power ratings, going into the openers for tonight, it was Golden State and everybody else. I mean, it really is a huge gap when you're talking about a Warriors team that basically brings every key piece back. And nobody else does. Houston's remade their roster. Cleveland's remade their roster. Boston's remade their roster. The Clippers have remade their roster. I mean, on and on down the line, when you look at the serious contenders, they've all gone through, with the exception probably of San Antonio, who's gone through their own issues in the offseason. But, major personnel upheaval. So when you're talking about betting right now for week 1 of the NBA season, none of those elite teams are necessarily going to be elite right now. We'll certainly talk about that when we break down this Celtics-Cavs game for tonight.
All right. Up next, we'll get to the doubleheader. Two monster matchups coming up, and then we'll get to the two playoff games in Major League Baseball on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today, big game breakdown. Always sponsored and powered by BetOnline. Check out the bonus page, sportsbookreview.com, for the latest and best offers to open a new account today. 5 o'clock Pacific, TNT. Celtics and the Cavs open the season. Cavs 3.5, 212.5 the total. They say LeBron's going to play. Wait and see. That'd be funny with lineup shenanigans right off the bat. But he's expected to play. 4 new starters and 10 new players on the 14-man roster for the Celtics. You get Hayward. You get Kyrie. They get Morris, who won't play. Bradley gone. Brown and Tatum. Expected to see a lot of minutes tonight, and Tatum with their big selection in the draft as well. And the big bugaboo, they also brought in Baines to help out because they were 28th in defensive rebounding percentage last year. Celtics were horrible on the glass.
Yeah, and of course, as we speak, this line is being bet. We're seeing Cleveland money. LeBron now upgraded to probable for tonight. The 3.5s are basically gone. We're looking at Cavs a -4 right now as we record here on a Tuesday morning. But when you talk about 4 new starters, 10 new players, only a 14-man roster for Boston. So when you say, yeah, Brad Stevens got a ton of talent, I'm sure he does. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and Boston's not going to be built in a day. Here's a quote from Brad Stevens. There's always that desire to build Rome in a day. And with this group specifically, I felt we really had to focus on what was best to put in early that we could then build off of that would allow us to play with a clear mind as soon as possible. I know that's a lot, but I think we've got a good foundation. They got a big problem when it comes to defending to LeBron tonight because Marcus Morris is out. There's not all that much front court depth or experience to go against a guy who's as good as any in the NBA for the last decade plus.
A lot of changes for the Cavs. They bring in Green, Wade, Rose, Crowder, IT, and Calderon. The guy Stevens usually would put on LeBron is now on the other team, Crowder. Crowder on leaving the Celtics. I'm over it. I've moved on. I'm with a great group of guys who have worked very hard each day. We've been at practice. It's fun to be around, and we'll see if IT's out for a couple of months. Who knows when he comes back? It's a lot of new pieces, Teddy, and I can tell you this. I lean over. Look, Love at the center, Wade, Rowe. This team's going to be horrible defensively. In Cleveland, just like last year, they couldn't defend. They're going to be involved in a lot of high-scoring games.
Yeah, one would think so, but on the other hand, which of these two teams' offenses are going to be in sync tonight? I'm not convinced the Celtics' offense is going to be ready to go, not with 4 new starters and 10 new players in their 14-man roster. And when you look at the Cavs, LeBron played in a grand total of 1 preseason game. As you mentioned, Isaiah Thomas, he's not going to be ready to go until Christmas. So at the point guard position, there are definitely issues there. And the quotes for LeBron and the market saying he's going to go Tyrone Lue, quote, I never hide stuff from you guys. I really don't know. Just depends on how he feels after today, but I really don't know. J.R. Smith, he's going to go. He's going to go. Trust me on that. I don't care what he's got to do. He's going to play. The market certainly expect LeBron to play tonight, but you talk about all those new faces in Cleveland. You talk about them playing without their past point guard and their current point guard. I've got my issues with the Cavs' offensive flow this evening. I'd love to be betting against both of these teams. The fact they're playing each other means I don't get to bet against either one of them.
Game number 2, Rockets and Warriors. Golden State 9.5. Look at this total. 230.5 the total. Ring ceremony before the game. And it won't be the same old because Durant gets his first. Rockets won't be sitting courtside, though. D'Antoni. My philosophy is it's better to be receiving than watching. We need to be other team. We're not going to watch unless they want to. We can watch it on TV back in the locker room. They'll be fine. The big move here, they get CP3 in the trade. They gave up too much. Why didn't you just sign them? They gave up Williams, Decker, Harrell, and Beverly. Other changes for the Rockets, Mbah Moute, PJ Tucker, and we'll see if CP3 and Harden, if this will work with the offense. The big thing with Houston last year, Harden ran out of gas down the stretch. And the other thing, they figured at least one of them should be on the floor at all times now, CP3 or Harden.
Yeah, sure. And Golden State's an interesting team to handicap right now because the Warriors, there's only one goal for Golden State. Be healthy and ready for the postseason. There's no desire to break any regular season win total records. There's not necessarily tough competition for them to get the number 1 seed in the West. So I really question about whether the Warriors are going to be able to find motivation on a regular basis during the regular season. Although special occasions like this, you don't question a team's motivation. But Golden State might be a decent fade when they're playing weaker opposition. When you talk about the rotation minutes, there's not a lot of changes for the Warriors rotation. Andre, they might try to lower Andre Iguodala's minutes. Nick Young, the only key piece. Young and a guy who is expected to get minutes, and the rookie center, Jordan Bell, who looks like a nice fit for Golden State. But essentially, this is the same roster with most of the same rotations that they had last year, winning their second title in the last 3 seasons.
And we'll see how it works out with Chris Paul. He missed 2 of the last 3 preseason games. We'll see if he's used to this pace as they want to go up-tempo and bombs away from 3. D'Antoni, it's a long season. There's some things we're going to work on. It's a marathon. You're not going to win the title in October. We'll keep working and getting better. Ryan Anderson on CP3. The pace of play is going to come naturally. It took me a little bit to get used to this pace of play, playing around James and figuring out where I can be used best as a new player. It takes a little bit of time. So there's some good quotes there from Anderson and D'Antoni about what to expect from the Rockets and CP3 early on. I'm surprised at their win total, 55.5. I would go under with the Rockets win total.
No argument here. And we're talking about another team with very little to prove in the regular season. The entirety of the regular season for Houston is about getting them ready to try to upset Golden State in the Western Conference playoffs.
All right, MLB playoffs now. BetOnline. Dodgers and the Cubs. Darvish against Hendricks. Cubbies $1.15. 8.5 opened up. Bet down to 8 with the total. Joe Madden getting ripped because why no Wade Davis in game 2? Quote, I really just needed him for the save tonight. He had limited pitches. It was 1 inning only. And in these circumstances, you don't get him up and then don't get him in. So if we had the lead, he would have pitched. That's it. When you have a guy like that coming off the performance he had, to warm him up and not use him is equally as bad. The difference in this series has been the bullpen. The Dodgers bullpen's been terrific. The Cubs bullpen in the playoffs is almost 8. And you saw Lackey come in back-to-back games and give up runs. And Turner with the 3-run bomb, only the second walk-off home run in Dodgers postseason history, which was 29 years to the day of the Gibson home run. The Ace of Spader on Twitter with this tweet, highest career postseason OPS, minimum 90 plate appearances, Gehrig, Ruth, and Turner. Can you believe it? What a story there is. They found him at an alumni game with Cal State Fullerton.
I mean, that, folks, is a really impressive graphic when you talk about what Justin Turner is doing this postseason and in previous postseasons from a historical perspective. When you're number 3, a career postseason OPS behind Gehrig and Ruth, that's something to be proud of. Of course, you talk about Wade Davis. There are no save opportunities in a game you just lost. And for the Cubs to have to find a way to win a game or be in a position to win a game and get Wade Davis in there in a save opportunity, they have to hit the baseball. Look at the graphic. The Cubs haven't hit a lick in the first 2 games of this series. A 117 batting average, 2 walks to 21 strikeouts. That is ugly. But talk about Kyle Hendricks. He pitched the clincher against the Dodgers in Wrigley last October. 7 1/3, 2 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He was brilliant in game 1 of the series against the Nationals. 7 scoreless innings, 6 strikeouts, only 5 base runners. He did, however, get hit hard on the second look against the Nats in his last outing. 4 runs in 4 innings, although he didn't get 7 strikeouts in those 4 innings of work.
Look at the depth of this Dodger team, man. Now it's game 3, it's Darvish, and then a 16-game winner, Alex Wood, tomorrow. Darvish went through a mini slump with the Dodgers, but he was great down the stretch. Last 4 games, if you count the playoff game against Arizona, an 0.74 ERA, 21 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Last 3 of the regular season, 2-0 with an 0.57, and then was solid against Arizona in the game 3 win when they got out the broom. So we'll see if the Dodgers hang in there and make it a battle of bullpens again. Last one, Astros and the Yankees, 2 o'clock Pacific. It's a day game. Careful out there. Next 2 days, these are day games in New York. It's McCullers against Gray, and the Yankees are favored. $1.27, 8.5 the total. Remember, favorites are 20-4 now in the playoffs. Gray hasn't pitched since October 5th. Game 1 loss against the Indians, and he didn't pitch well in that game, and he struggled were 1-2 with an ERA of 7 last 3 of the regular season and only lasted 3 1/3 against Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy whose last 4 starts, 14 walks against only 12 strikeouts. That's definitely concerning for Yankees backers. But of course, Joe Girardi doesn't have to worry if Sonny Gray ends up not. Joe Girardi got plenty to worry about. But in terms of this pitching staff, if Gray isn't sharp, guess what? The Yankees bullpen as deep as any in baseball. Only Warren's not going to be available tonight. So, or this afternoon, I should say, here on the left coast. So we're talking about a situation where the Yankees can get out of the Gray start if they need to relatively early with that deep bullpen behind.
4-0 at home in the playoffs and 51-30 in the regular season. Yankees are a different team at home. It's going to be McCullers, who found his game after coming back from the DL after the All-Star break. But you see pre-break, never found his game after coming back from the DL. Look at this graphic. Pre-break, 91 innings pitched, 7-2 with a 3.05. Post-break, 27 innings pitched with an ERA of 8 and change. 27 innings pitched were over 6 starts. He only finished the 5th inning in 2 of them. And he worked 3 innings of relief in 1 appearance against the Red Sox, and he gave up 2 runs. Why isn't it Peacock here? A.J. Hinch, we believe in McCullers. I don't have to remind all you guys he was an all-star to start this year. He has some of the best stuff in the league, and we believe in him. McCullers now. I've been feeling like myself a lot more lately. Preparation, the way my body has been feeling. I'm excited to be at the best I've been and get the ball. I feel confident with my pitches and my stuff again. You mentioned it, though, Teddy. If McCullers doesn't have it early, it's back to the bullpen, which they had to use heavy yesterday, and the Yankees bullpen well-rested if Gray struggles, and it's Girardi probably wants to get him out of there after 4 or 5 anyways.
And the crazy thing about McCullers, you remember when we were doing sports bets all spring and summer and talking about this guy is the hottest pitcher, as hot as any pitcher in the betting markets. The wise guys were all over Lance McCullers. He had advanced metric stats that were through the roof. Well, he got hurt. He never regained that magic over the second half of the campaign. The quotes are very positive, but it's one of those things, I got to see it to believe it. I'm not going to believe the quotes. I want to see McCullers actually have a good performance on the field.
All right. Red hot play of the day coming up. It's been great in October. And Dave Mason, BetOnline, to recap a horrible weekend for the players and a great weekend for the books next on SportsBet. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Welcome back to SportsBet Betting Insight today. Teddy Covers here, joined as we are every Tuesday during football season by Dave Mason from BetOnline AG. Dave, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Teddy.
As always, you come out full of verbiage. All right, let's go. Big weekend for underdogs. In college football, we saw a bunch of double-digit dogs cash in. There were 16 double-digit dogs that had a lead in the fourth quarter on Saturday, and that came after the upsets on Friday and after the upsets on Wednesday. And then in the NFL, same story, big dogs cashing. Let's start with Sunday. How did you guys do at BetOnline? Did any bettors cash in on some of these money line parlays, or was it mostly just chalk bettors losing for you on Sunday?
Yeah, no big money line bettors parlays to report, unfortunately. And it was a great day for us yesterday. I mean, Saturday was great too. Whenever all these underdogs are cashing, that's usually a good thing for the books and a good thing for the sharps too. Sharps had a pretty good weekend, especially yesterday. But yeah, NFL, I mean, good. Jets was huge. Dolphins, Vikings was just massive. I mean, the action on that game was I tweeted it out early that there was more money on the Green Bay Packers than the second, third, and fourth most bet 1 o'clock teams combined. I mean, that's how much money was on the Packers yesterday at 1 o'clock. So that was a huge win. The Vikings, Chargers, Giants last night. The players, I mean, they really didn't have any big wins yesterday. I mean, the Texans would look like a big win, but there's so much sharp action on the other side that, the public won big on that. The sharps didn't win so much. And the Saints, they won big on the spread, but lost on the money line. So it was a really good day for the house.
So when you have a day like that, on the heels of what's been a pretty good football season for bookmakers, by and large, especially bookmakers that are catering to a more public-facing audience. You have a day like that. What's the feel in the office? Are guys high-fiving? Is there a lot of energy, or is it just business as usual? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You cash in today, but it's not like you're able to put that money deep into your pocket knowing you'll never have to give it back.
Right. No, I mean, you're definitely a little happier Sunday night. You're definitely enjoying your Sunday night beer a little bit more. You might have a couple extra. Well, that's not true, because when you lose, you might have even more. But no, you're enjoying that Sunday night beer a little bit more, and Monday morning you got a little extra pep in your step, if you will. But I mean, we've been doing this a long time. We know next weekend we could give it all back and then some. So you take it day by day, but. And I'm not gonna lie if you don't say, oh well, that's just how it works. No, you're a little more excited. You're a little more ready to go. But we do know that tonight's a whole different ball game. That the players could totally kill us tonight and all this week. Who knows?
Exactly. The joy of a winning day doesn't last long. Let's briefly recap any of the big decisions in college from Saturday. Another, as we talked about earlier, big day for underdog bettors.
Right. LSU was massive for us. Arizona. Cal the other night was just humongous. Bad. Michigan, the players buried us on Michigan, falling near the number. TCU was a big one. South Carolina too. But college was a good week too. Nowhere near as good as NFL, but it was no complaints there.
So let me ask you one more question here. Of course, talking with Dave Mason from betonline.ag. And Dave, I really want to ask you, because this is a question that comes up right around this time of the year. For bettors, it starts to get crazy busy when you have NHL and baseball and NFL and college football. And here comes NBA, and here comes college hoops on the horizon. So we're talking about all of a sudden going from handicapping 2 or 3 sports to try to handicapping 4 or 5. Some guys even try to do 6 sports at a time. How does that work from an odds-making perspective? Are your lines weaker in theory when you're dealing to multiple sports, or do you have different guys working on different sports and you're very confident with every number that you're putting out right from the get-go?
Yeah, it's not so much. I don't think the odds are weaker, but I think when you have all that stuff going on, and we open, our openers are the earliest in the industry for the more major sports, that you have guys. I mean, we need like a team of 100 when all these 4 sports are going on, and college hoops are right around the corner, and you add the props and this and that and the other thing. But of course, we don't have a team that big, so it's more that it's harder to manage, a little bit more difficult to manage. Not like July when you just have a nice big old MLB betting board to manage. But when the college openers are going up, and the NFL openers are going up, and then you got to worry about NBA, a full slate there, and just stuff's coming in from every direction. These sharp guys are coming in from every direction. The public's coming in from every direction, etc. So it gets really hectic. So I think the openers stay the same. They're pretty tight. We're going to be off on some. They're just going to be, with more sports, you're going to be off on more, and more people out there capitalizing off that.
So it's not really a situation where the lines that you're putting up are necessarily any weaker. It's just everybody's working their ass off between now and Christmas.
It's just a lot more hectic, and there's more, I think, spots out there for the bettor, because these guys are managing so many different sports and everything, and you got the football team, you got the baseball team, you got the basketball team, etc. But still, there's just so much out there. Stuff's coming in from every which angle, so you really have to be on top of your toes. So if you're not, which happens sometimes, right? If you're not, you can get hit a little bit easier. So that's more how that works.
A good time of year for bettors who are getting good information. Dave Mason from BetOnline. Why don't you give our folks, our watchers, our viewers, our listeners one good offer they can take advantage of right now, today, and get an account open at betonline.ag.
Yes, sir. Head on over to betonline.ag and sign up for an account. Use promo code NEW2500 to receive a 50% welcome bonus. The max bonus on that is $2,500. So, maximize the value on that. Get your account funded for the next few months with a bonus that big.
Sounds good. Dave Mason, thank you so much for hanging out with me on a day where my collar has gone berserk. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week.
We'll set odds on that collar next week.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
All right, Dad.
Great job there for Dave Mason. A rough weekend for the Pac-12, and that 7:45 start with the no-show for Washington. Only scored 7 points at Arizona State. Money time, play of the day. Back to the baseball playoffs, Teddy. Favorites 20-4 so far in the playoffs. Here's a dog, Teddy. What are we doing?
Game number 963. We're going to take a look at the LA Dodgers. They're only a short dog, plus 105. Look, I'm a Joe Madden fan. Dave Roberts has been coaching circles around Madden in the first 2 games. That's not going to change at Wrigley. Dodgers can't be dogs to anybody right now. Let's take the LA Dodgers at the slight plus price. Game number 963. That's our play of the day.
All right, there it is. We'll recap what happens tonight, and we'll go hard at it tomorrow. And we got college football to talk about. A Thursday night game in the NFL we'll go over, and 2 more baseball playoff games as well. Loaded show Wednesday. We'll talk to you then on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com. Thanks for watching.